Continuing on with and coming to the final offering in the range. Sadly, I will admit. Let's drink some whiskey. Welcome to Whisky and Whiskey. I'm the Whiskey Chaser Brian here in Christy's bar, Kilkenny, doing what we do best, whiskey. Now, it's no secret, lately I've been more focused on knocking some of the core range whiskeys from the big names here out on the channel. Not because I want to big up the brands, but because I put them off for long enough and kind of said, to hell with it. Why not? Life is too short to put off drinking good whiskeys. Write that down. This is the oldest whiskey in the range of whiskeys from Mitchell & Sons, and of course we are talking about the Red Spot 15-year-old triple distilled Irish whiskey from Irish distillers. I've been down this road before with the rest of the core range whiskeys from Mitchell & Sons and Irish distillers, and I'm going to leave a link to the playlist above or down below. I'm not going to go into the whole story again. Very briefly, it's the only range of Irish whiskeys to continue to be made since its introduction in the early 1900s. And when I say that, I refer to, of course, the Green Spot, but the Spot range of whiskeys have been around for some time and they are much loved here on home soil. And indeed, the rest of the world, as it turns out. This bottle here was quite possibly the worst kept secret when it came to its release. It would seem that everyone knew about it before the actual release date. It was really just a matter of time before the announcement came. True story. And what an announcement it was. The energy was electric. The excitement was real. It was what everyone was talking about. The sweat began to gather at the top of people's brow, wondering just how many bottles were going to be released. Where was it going to have it first? Generally speaking, all the typical BS that goes along with a hyped up release. So D-Day, drop day, November of 2018. It had been over 50 years since this release had seen the light of day. Shelved at the time due to the massive decrease in destruction of the Irish whiskey category itself, largely due to a bunch of outside factors that couldn't be helped, but also due to a lot of our very own stubbornness too. Folks, you might recall that I did a video on the Yellow Spot recently, and in said video I remarked on how the Mitchell & Son family painstakingly went through old ledgers and company logs to dig out the recipe for the reincarnation of the Yellow Spot. And I can say the same has been done here with this bottling. True. No stone has been left unturned and no detail left out. Mitchell & Son have worked hand in hand with Middleton Distillers to recreate the best they possibly could, the old recipe for the oldest age statement pot still whiskey in their range. Now, back in the day when Mitchell & Son were wine and whiskey merchants, they used to get their new make spirit from Jameson Distillery in Bow Street in Dublin and matured in their own warehouses. At the time, to differentiate between the aging whiskies, a color-coded system was introduced in the warehouses that indicated the age statement of the whiskies inside the aging casks. You might see where I'm going with this. Blue Spot represented 7 years, green 10 years, yellow 12 years, and finally Red Spot for the 15-year-old. Mitchell & Son were renowned for using old fortified wine casks to help aging and flavor profiles for their different statements. The Red Spot here has much the same DNA as the rest of the range, where bourbon barrels and sherry butts were used, but that's where the similarities stop, as a third cask was also used in the recipe here, and that cask was a Sicilian Marsala cask. If you're not familiar with Marsala, it is a fortified wine which can be dry and or sweet, produced in the region surrounding the Italian city of Marsala in Sicily. Along with being used in whiskey production, it can also be used in cooking, so it is a very popular sweet wine, not completely dissimilar to Spanish and Portuguese fortified wines. Now, Marsala does prove to be very popular here in Ireland with whiskies such as the Irishman, Writer's Tears, Napogue Castle, the Whistler, and Spade and Bushel, each bringing a version of whiskey to the table which has had some maturation in Marsala. The use of the cask is said to impart a sweet, complex, spicy, and sometimes nutty aroma to the whiskey. So what we have here is a 15-year-old triple distilled, non-chill filtered pot still Irish whiskey bottled at 46% ABV, finished in bourbon, sherry, and Marsala. Released in 2018 at a price point of 130 euros, my research has turned up that there is indeed coloring in this whiskey as to keep consistency between the batches, and it has indeed won a number of different accolades, most recently the Gold Irish Whiskey Masters 2021. Let's do this. Oh, it's really raining out there. And before we drink the whiskey, if you haven't already, I kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and show the chaser a tiny bit of love by clicking the thumbs up icon and making certain you have the notifications turned on for when my videos launch. And you know what? I don't know why the hell I asked that. It doesn't matter. I don't know what difference it makes to the whole subscription thing, really. I'm just doing this for the love of whiskey. I mean, if you really wanted to watch the videos, you would anyway, right? Right? And you know by now that these videos are released every Wednesday at 5:15. So, yeah, good. Let's drink. And we pour. At the time, I remember words could not describe how excited I was for the release of this whiskey. And when it was released, I bought myself not one, but 2 bottles of this. Because back then, I carelessly threw caution to the wind and was quite stupid with my money. And then coronavirus hit and my job went on hold, and yeah. It's a valuable lesson to learn, people. All right, on the nose, absolutely gorgeous. The first thing that comes forward the most is the pot still spices. And not over the top pot still spices, really kind of not nice, you know, peppery spices, nutmeg spices, touch of cinnamon. Then you're getting in through your fruits. Because it does have a very similar kind of makeup to the yellow and the green spot, you are getting a lot of those apple notes, those kind of very prominent kind of mango, or what was the other one? Not so much pineapple, but maybe apple / mango. It's very beautiful. You're getting the nuttiness coming through from the cask. You're also getting from the Marsala cask, you're getting the sweetness, the sweet fruits from the, raspberries coming through from the Marsala cask. Absolutely gorgeous. The nuttiness kind of comes back in again. Can't get over that raspberry and the kind of cherry note into it. Kind of a candied note there at the end as well. Very, very good. Very good. It's been a long time since I've had this. I forgot just how good this is. Lovely. At the very end then, kind of a weird cinnamony note to it, but you know, works. Complex. Absolutely. Sorry, should have said that. You know, you have a triple cask kind of maturation thing going on here. 15-year-old age statement of pot still whiskeys. Beautiful. Let's have a little sup. Sláinte. Oh yeah. Hello, pot still spices. Very good, but not overly powerful. So you're getting, obviously, those spices that I spoke about on the nose, but then a sweetness, a rush of a sweetness comes through. Beautiful kind of cherry notes, apple, that mango note that is still kind of definitely there. The oak is coming through. There's a lot of nuttiness in behind this as well. Quite nice. Sláinte. Ooh, a little bit of kind of a leathery note there as well. Nuttiness from the Marsala cask is definitely helping out there on the finish. Very sweet. I'm not getting from the sherry a lot of the sherry notes, but more the Marsala cask is talking a little bit nicer or is coming through a little bit better on this one. A lot of those sweet fruit notes, you know, you have your caramel as well, which is kind of driving it on a bit as well. Your vanilla notes, of course, very creamy, very fruit forward. Not the longest of finishes, I don't think, on the finish. You know, the spiciness is dying out a small bit, and it's leaving kind of like a leathery tannin on the tongue, which is not bad, but the sweetness is still kind of in the cheeks. There's only a little drop left, so I will finish it off. Sláinte again. That's a great whiskey. Finish again, weird. A little bit of stone fruits on the finish there, just kind of weird, but the sweetness still very much, the nuttiness, the spiciness, tapering off. Not overly long and not overly complex on the finish, but the nose and the body or the palate, yeah, good whiskey. So here's the deal. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's no doubt about that. You know, and at the time, I remember when it was released, it was ranked amongst, you know, my favorite Irish whiskeys I had tried at the time. However, and there's a big however here, I always felt that this whiskey in particular was overpriced, which actually was the reason why I stopped drinking it so often. I don't feel like it's a €130 whiskey, and I never did. I think this has a home in or around the €100 mark at most. And don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful dram. I just think, sadly overpriced. Would I like to see some more older age statement whiskies in the spot range? Absolutely. I mean, I'd love to see a bit of innovation that way without hesitation in answering that. However, the price would very much have to be right. And there wasn't any older whiskies in the spot range back in the day to the best of my knowledge. So yeah, here's hoping. However, there may be an exceptionally older single cask green spot on the cards somewhere. Any guesses to what that might be? Leave some comments down below if you know what I'm talking about. And hey, would you like to see me drink it? We might have one laying around here in Christie's somewhere, you know? And I'm rather good at convincing the powers that be to open some of their rather rare whiskeys. Let me know down below. Now, as always, it was the good folks here at Christie's who supplied me this dram, so a shout out to the lads for hooking me up. And yes, as always, all thoughts are my own. I do hope you enjoyed that little tasting of the Red Spot, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, leave a comment down below as to which whiskey you'd like to see me try soon. I'm doing my best to get some of the previous suggestions in some of the older videos, so bear with me. Until next time, make sure you drink a great whiskey, keep it Irish, and we'll leave it at that. Chaser out. Sláinte.